Welcome back to the channel, friends. Today, we're diving into a dreamy transformation inspired by the cozy charm of the English countryside. If you love warm, rustic textures, vintage florals, and that lovely lived-in cottage feel, you're in for a treat. This English country cottage makeover is filled with affordable thrift finds, creative DIYs, and timeless vintage pieces that bring this aesthetic to life. Whether you're working with a tight budget or simply love giving old things new life, this makeover will give you endless inspiration for your own home refresh. Before we roll up our sleeves, let's explore what English country cottage style really means. It's not just floral prints and tea sets, though those help. It's about warmth, history, comfort, and character. Think mismatched china, worn wood furniture, linen drapes, botanical prints, and a hint of the garden brought indoors. It's a style rooted in tradition, with a lived-in look that embraces imperfections. This aesthetic is all about storytelling through your home, and every piece, whether bought or handmade, tells a part of that story. Let's start with a quick look at the space before the makeover. Our little cottage room had potential, but lacked personality. There were plain walls, modern furniture that didn't fit the theme, and not a single floral pillow in sight. But that's where the fun begins, turning this blank canvas into something filled with charm and nostalgia. Keep your eyes peeled for areas like the entry nook, kitchen shelf, and window seat. These will become cozy focal points by the end. To stay on budget, I started by planning around what I already had and listing the vintage elements I wanted to add. I focused on key themes: texture, pattern, history, and nature. My color palette leaned into soft sage greens, muted florals, warm creams, and natural wood tones. I sketched out ideas, made a Pinterest board, and decided where thrifted finds could replace modern pieces. I always recommend starting with a plan. It helps you stay focused when you're thrifting or deciding on DIYs. The first stop was, of course, the thrift store. I found so many gems: a floral tapestry for just $4, a chipped but charming ceramic pitcher, an old oak side table, and a set of brass candle holders that just needed a polish. These kinds of pieces are gold when you're creating that country feel. Look for items with age, patina, and a little character. Sometimes you'll see past the dust and realize that an item just needs a little love to become perfect for your space. One of the easiest and most budget-friendly DIYs I tackled was creating framed floral fabric art. I picked up old frames for $1 each and used vintage fabric scraps I found at the thrift store. By cutting the fabric to fit and adding them behind glass, I created instant wall art that looked right out of an English country home. The best part? Each piece is completely unique and adds that cozy, handmade feel to the walls. Next up was the oak side table I scored for just $12. It had water rings and a dull finish, but the bones were strong. After a light sanding, I stained it with a warm walnut tone and added a coat of satin sealant. The result was a beautifully aged piece that looks like it's been in the family for generations. Don't underestimate the power of refinishing. Wood furniture can be transformed on a shoestring budget. I decided to turn the entry corner into a welcoming cottage nook. I added a second-hand bench with a few floral cushions, a wicker basket for boots, and a thrifted coat rack painted in antique white. A vintage mirror above it reflected light and made the space feel larger. This small corner now welcomes guests with cottage charm, and sets the tone for the rest of the home. The kitchen shelf was my next focus. I styled it with mismatched teacups, old cookbooks, and a tiny vase of dried lavender. I also framed a vintage recipe card, a sweet touch that adds personality. I found most of these items at yard sales and thrift stores, spending less than $20 in total. When styling open shelves, think in layers. Start with taller items in the back, then build forward with textures and colors that complement one another. To bring the garden inside, I created aged terracotta pots using simple chalk paint and a bit of dirt. Yes, real dirt. I dabbed on paint, then rubbed on soil while it was still wet to create that time-worn look. These now hold herbs and ivy on my windowsill, giving the space that fresh from the greenhouse vibe that's essential in English cottage decor. One of the biggest transformations was a vintage wooden chair I picked up for $15. The cushion was flat and the fabric outdated, but the shape was lovely. I reupholstered it using floral linen I had left from another project and added a bit more cushioning. Now it sits by the window, perfect for afternoon tea or reading. Don't shy away from reupholstery. It's easier than it looks, and the result can be stunning. Another budget-friendly project was distressing picture frames to match the vintage look. I used thrifted frames, painted them with chalk paint, then lightly sanded the edges to reveal a little wood underneath. This technique makes them look aged and fits perfectly with the rest of the decor. I filled the frames with botanical prints, which I found for free online and printed at home. No cottage window is complete without lace curtains. I found lace tablecloths at a thrift store and repurposed them into curtain panels. A few snips, some iron-on hem tape, and tension rods were all it took. The delicate lace softens the light and adds that romantic, old-world feel. Plus, it's a great way to reuse something that might otherwise be discarded. Books are an essential part of English cottage charm. I gathered old novels and poetry books from thrift shops, looking for those with worn spines and gilded titles. I stacked them on tables, shelves, and even the floor beside a chair. They add a touch of history, and you never know when you'll be inspired to sit and read. For extra coziness, I tucked dried flowers between some pages and tied a few with twine. One major theme in English cottage decor is texture, especially natural ones. I brought in woven baskets, linen pillow covers, wooden trays, and ceramic pottery. These elements work together to create a layered, warm atmosphere. None of these items cost more than $10 each, and most were found secondhand. The trick is to mix textures without making it feel too busy. Balance is key. Bringing in a little nature was essential to completing the look. I added small bouquets of wildflowers in repurposed bottles, a hanging eucalyptus bundle in the bathroom, and even a thrifted botanical print above the bed. These touches connect the interior space to the garden outside, which is a hallmark of English cottage life. You don't need fresh flowers every day. Dried blooms and faux stems work just as beautifully. I swapped out harsh lighting for warm-toned bulbs and added a few vintage-style lamps I found for under $15 each. One was a ceramic base I painted to look like antique stoneware, topped with a pleated shade. Another was a small brass lamp I cleaned up and rewired. The warm lighting makes everything feel softer and more inviting, especially in the evenings. Gallery walls are a great way to tell a visual story. I created one in the hallway using mismatched frames filled with botanical art, old postcards, and pressed flowers. I arranged them organically, not in a perfect grid, to reflect that cozy, collected over time feel. Most pieces were DIY or thrifted. The entire wall cost under $30 and added so much personality. To truly capture the feeling of an English cottage, don't forget about scent. I use soy candles in lavender and rose, as well as a homemade stovetop potpourri of lemon, rosemary, and cinnamon. Scent is such an emotional part of decor. It can make your space feel instantly lived in and cozy. Bonus: many of these scents also repel bugs naturally. So, how much did this whole makeover cost? All in, I spent around $230. That includes all thrifted items, DIY supplies, and even paint. It's proof that you don't need a big budget to create a high-impact transformation. With a little creativity and patience, you can craft a space that feels luxurious, layered, and deeply personal, all without overspending. One thing I love about this style is how easily it adapts to the seasons. In fall, I'll switch to deeper florals and add cozy tartan throws. In spring, more fresh flowers and greenery. English cottage decor isn't static. It evolves with nature and your lifestyle. Consider keeping a rotating bin of seasonal touches so you can refresh your space every few months. Though this space is beautiful, it's also practical. The baskets hide clutter, the shelves organize everyday essentials, and the decor brings joy to daily routines. That's the true heart of English country style, blending beauty with function. Your home should work for your life while also feeding your soul. And this makeover proves it's possible. In doing this makeover, I found myself slowing down, noticing details, enjoying the process, and appreciating the charm of imperfection. That's something we can all take from English cottage living. It's not about chasing perfection. It's about comfort, history, and creating a space where you feel at peace. Every brushstroke, every thrift find, and every flower tells a story. Let's take one last look at the transformation. From a bland, forgettable space to a warm, welcoming, and personal English cottage retreat. The difference is dramatic. And yet, nothing here was expensive or unattainable. That's the magic of style on a budget. I hope the side-by-side shots inspire you to tackle your own corners of home and add your unique flair. Thank you so much for joining me on this cottage makeover journey. I hope it sparked ideas, warmed your heart, and reminded you that a beautiful home doesn't have to break the bank. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see next. Maybe a fall cottage kitchen tour or DIY floral wreaths. Until next time, happy decorating and cozy living, friends.